Welcome back, folks. I'm glad you could be with me today. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because, well, last one I did, I kind of forgot a couple things on it. And so we're going to do a couple more things today, talk about, well, normally, okay, I should back up. Usually I try to do a video a week, but unfortunately, this weekend, I couldn't come up with a single topic that would make an entire video. But I did think of several other things that, well, I forgot a couple things in my last video, and on top of that, I've come up with a couple other things that I've experienced, which is something I try to do a lot of videos on, is personal experiences. And I came across a couple things that, well, combine them all together, and I think we can make a video out of this. Well, I don't know, you never know, it might turn out to be a fairly long one. We'll see. But as I was talking about, things with the saddle and stuff, I got to go pull out a saddle here, and I'm going to show you a couple things that I think I left out on the last one. So we'll talk about those to start with, and then I'm going to bring horses in and show you a couple things that we've discovered recently that I think might be kind of interesting, or handy, or informative, or, well, you'll see. Just stick around. I'll be back with you in a minute. I'm just going to go get a saddle here and talk about some stuff I forgot in the last video. Okay, now this is not the same saddle that I had in the last video, but it doesn't really matter for what I want to talk about. This will do just fine, but I want to talk about a couple of things that I forgot about in the last video when it comes to your stirrups. Now, I'm going to just put you down a little further so you can see the stirrup. That might help in explaining what I want to talk about. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about here, well, I suggested the possibility of using swivel stirrups. And I thought about afterwards, there is definitely another drawback to them if you happen to have particularly short legs, because what's going to happen is this point here is suddenly going to be down to about here, because it's going to connect in here like the normal stirrup would, but you'll have a swivel joint in the middle. And if you happen to have particularly short legs, that's going to be a bit of a problem for you, is that stirrup is suddenly going to be a couple inches lower than it would be normally, and on some saddles you're going to have trouble raising them enough. Now on this one, I think it's this side, no, it's the other side, cheap saddle, or not even, it's already up as high as it goes for the person that was using my saddle previously. And you're going to run into a problem. And one other saddle I had, I actually ended up having to cut a piece out of the fender in order to be able to raise the stirrup high enough because of the way it was made. Now, that may also be true for you. And if you got to do that, you got to do that. I mean, if you got to cut a piece out of your fender in order to make the stirrup work for you, well, that's what you got to do. And unfortunately, quite a few saddles, that is going to be the case if you got particularly short legs. Now, one other thing that I did not mention about adjusting your stirrups. Now, I talked about making sure that they're actually short enough, and this kind of goes together with that, is because you got to make sure they're short enough. Because one of the things I mentioned about if your stirrups aren't short enough, it's very easy to lose a stirrup because you haven't got enough weight in them to keep them under your foot all the time. And there's another thing I didn't mention about that. Not only can you lose a stirrup, but if you don't have enough weight in it to keep it stable under your foot might actually go all the way right through it, and then you get hung up, and it's really, you'll need somebody to help you get the thing off your foot. It's really that bad of a problem. So another one of the reasons you want to make sure that your stirrups are short enough is so that you maintain pressure in them, so that your foot doesn't slide all the way through. That's a very dangerous situation because not only are you going to get stuck in that thing, but you also aren't going to be able to put any weight down on it to keep your balance. And if you're not a real good rider, that may make the difference between whether or not you stay on the horse in the first place. So make sure your stirrups are actually short enough, and that kind of goes along with if you use those swivel stirrups. Remember, they're going to automatically, because of the swivel in between, the whole stirrup is going to be down a little bit lower, and you're going to have to raise it up some more to make it work for you. So keep that one in mind. That is something to be concerned about. So that was a couple of items that I forgot to mention in my last video. And oh, interestingly enough, that's a strange one too, because I did a bit of a rant on the problems I'm having with YouTube. And what was really strange is I thought that might get me in trouble, and well, maybe it still will, I don't know. But I actually got more views in 3 hours on that video than I did in a week on the one previous to that. So I don't know. I thought if anything I'd get fewer. Well, who knows? Anyhow, I do appreciate your help though if you share my videos with your friends. So anyhow, that's add on to my last video is make sure your stirrups are short enough. And if you use the swivel stirrups, keep in mind you're definitely going to again have to shorten it some more. And if there's not enough adjustment in your stirrup because you've got particularly short legs, which is possible, you may actually have to cut a piece out of your fender in order to be able to raise them up enough. So that's something to keep in mind. And I'm going to go get a horse now and show you something else. Well, I'm sure by now you probably recognize this horse as the worried girl, who's not very worried anymore. And I'm going to show you what I've been doing. I said last video I had her in, I said I was going to find something that she'd react to, and I did. I kept finding things. Once she was good with the flag, I found something else, and I said one of the possibilities was a plastic bag on a stick, like this. You know, she's not even reacting to this thing. Just a little tip, if you want to do something like this, is cut the bottom end out of the bag, otherwise it turns into like a big parachute and it balloons out, and it just doesn't work very well that way. But if you just slit the bottom open, the air can go straight through it, works much better. You can do stuff like this with it. And it's not a lot different than a flag, but of course, you know, it has benefits that the flag doesn't have, is that horses don't like these things. I don't know why. I've never fully understood that. I think perhaps it's a combination of the visual and the sound that they make, because they make noise. But anyhow, so I told you I was going to find things that bothered her. And this is what I've been doing, is well, one of the things. I also said she was one-sided. On this side, she doesn't care. It doesn't bother her one little bit. On the other side, she will still move, but she's gotten to the point now where she'll maybe turn a quarter turn and then stop when I've got this thing on, waving it up and down like this beside her. You know, it doesn't bother her. And I can actually swing it underneath her, rub it on her legs, over her back. I can do pretty much anything I want with it, and that's that evil plastic bag that almost every freaking horse on the planet hates. I'm not sure why, but if it's something that bothers them, you may as well desensitize them to it, because of the fact that no, people aren't going to be running along beside you shaking a bag, but there's bound to be one blowing around, and I've seen it happen even out here in the pasture. There was one day there was a big pile of bales, and I couldn't see what was going on, but all of a sudden I saw a bunch of horses go run by the end where I could see, and I thought, well, that's very unusual, because they don't usually run in that particular area. And then a few seconds later, I saw a plastic bag blowing past. And that was what got them running. They were all, half a dozen horses were all scared of one little plastic bag. Now, you and I can say that's not a big deal, but to the horse, they don't know what it is, and it scares the crap out of them for some reason. Anyhow, aside from the fact we've been working with this, and she's been doing very, very well, I want to talk just briefly about this horse, because you're probably not going to see her anymore. Well, not much. Very unlikely, anyhow. I have finally ridden this horse. I did actually get on her. Just briefly, I'll probably ride her a couple more times, and I'm probably going to work with her a tiny bit more, because she's not 100% yet, but she's really, really close. And as a result, well, once we're done, and which we're just about there, because once we get up to riding, there's nothing more to do, because I leave that for the last. The horse, by the time I get on the horse, it is rideable, and the problems have been resolved. Well, pretty darn close, anyhow. But based on her reaction while I was riding her, she's not quite there yet, so I'll probably play with her a little bit more, but not a whole lot. So chances are you're probably not going to see this horse again. She'll still be around though, don't worry, and she's a good girl. And I'll still be saying hi to her and giving her treats all the time too. But one of the things I want to talk about in that regard is that I just looked back on the data, one of the earliest videos I did with her. I've been playing with this horse for a year now. And I said right in the beginning, if it takes a year, so what? And actually, that year went by pretty darn quick. I was kind of surprised. And a lot of you might be thinking, well, hey, a year, that's an awful long time to work with one horse. You must not be very good. No, that's not the case at all, because if you paid attention and watched lots of my videos, you will know that this is not my job. It's a hobby. And I do it in my spare time. And there have been quite a few times where, in particular in the really bad weather last winter, where I might not play with her for 2 weeks at a time. And when I do play with her, sometimes our sessions are only 15 minutes, maybe half hour. You know, occasionally it's more than that, but not always. Sometimes they're actually pretty darn short, depending on what we accomplish, you know. And if we make progress, I'm happy, and she can go back out and be a horse again. And I actually did a rough calculation now, because I never actually kept track of the time that I spent with her. I don't have accurate numbers, but roughly I've spent about 50 hours with this horse. Now, if you were to work with your horse 1 hour a day, 6 days a week, for 2 months, that's 50 hours. So in reality, even though I've taken a year, I really haven't spent a ridiculous amount of time with this horse, no more than you would in normal training of 60 days, or no, 30, yeah, 60 days, you know, 2 months. Well, no, not even 60 days, anyhow. Well, whatever. 2 months, and basically what I did do with her was pretty much exactly the same as I would do with a horse if I was training it. And I started right from the beginning with catching her, leading her, you know, getting her to side pass, disengage, and all that stuff. And you know, she does all this stuff quite well now, and she's very, very soft on the reins. She responds to the reins very, very well. Very nice, very nice. So basically, in spite of the fact that we have spent a year with this horse, it has not been an incredible number of hours. And yeah, it took a long time. But I've also said many times, you can never go too slow, you can only go too fast. Keep that one in mind. And something that I have discovered, and I've heard many other good horsemen say, is that when they spend some time out in the pasture thinking about things, it seems to help. And honestly, of my personal experience, I think it does, actually, because there's been many times we worked on something, and then she'd spend a week out in the pasture. The next week when I'd work with her again, she'd do it like a pro. And so there's something to be said for that. So, you know, like I said, you can never go too slow. You can only go too fast. This one, we're pretty much done with her, so chances are you're not going to see her anymore. And little tip, if you want to work with a plastic bag, cut the bottom out of it. It works much, much better if you do that, I can assure you. And, well, like I said, I'm just going to keep upping it and finding things that she will, in fact, react to, although this is not one of them. I can actually even take the flag, drag it right over her head, and she won't react to that anymore. She'll stand still. And keep in mind, this was an extremely reactive horse at one time that would actually react to the point of flipping right over backwards. And fortunately, she never landed on the rider. But she has done that several times. And people have died that way. So this is not a small deal that we've been working with. This is basically potentially life-saving. And her owner has, in the past, been very hesitant to ride her, with very good reason, because, like I said, that kind of behavior can actually kill you. If a horse flips over backwards and lands on top of you, with her weight, she's close to 1,200 pounds. And if 1,200 pounds was to land on top of you, that would be like getting run over by a car. Well, cars weigh more than that, but not on any one wheel. Anyhow, not the point. It can kill you. Okay, so that's one of the reasons we've been working with this horse. But she is to the point now where, like I said, you're probably not going to see her anymore, because we're pretty much done with her. We have, in fact, ridden her. Maybe as one last little video, I'll actually take a quick shot of me on her, just so you know that we actually did get to that point. But I think from what you can see, you can tell the difference between what we started with and what we got now. She doesn't hesitate to come into the arena. She's cool as a cucumber while she's standing here. She's not running around, freaking out, calling other horses, and all this stuff. She's not jumping and spooking at things. You know, all of it seems, and with her we were working with actually more than one thing. Aside from being extremely reactive, she was also extremely herd-bound. Fortunately, that off-the-track thoroughbred that we're working for, he's not horribly reactive. He's actually pretty good in that respect, but he is definitely herd-bound, so we've still got to work on that too, and we will. And so you'll probably see him in more upcoming videos. In fact, he's the next horse I'm going to bring in here. Just give me a minute. I'm going to show you something else that we've been working on with him, because in the past I talked about destination addiction and how that kind of works, and I never did show you how to fix it though. And I've been kind of tempted to, but I don't want to spoil my training videos that I can make money off of, maybe. So, but I just couldn't resist because it worked so well with him. I got to show it to you. So just give me a minute. I'll go get another horse, and I'm going to show you what I've been working on with him. Okay, and welcome back to part 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3. Part 3. Anyhow, I said a while back that actually I did a video on titled that good horsemen have to be experimenters, and it's very important that, well, in order to experiment you have to have the knowledge of several different experiments that you can use. So that's where it's important to learn as many different methods and techniques as possible, and there's never any one size fits all. Don't buy that nonsense. I don't care how much some mega million-dollar clinician tries to tell you that crap. The only reason he's got lots of money is because he tries telling people there's an easy way out of things. No, there is not. You got to know a whole bunch of different ways, and you got to experiment with all these different ways until you find one that works. Why is he in here? Because he is the subject of this experiment that we've been doing. Well, several of them actually, because although he's already much improved, as you can see. And I was trying a lot of different things, because one of his issues, well, his single issue, I guess, but it manifests in many different ways, is he's very herd-bound. He has separation anxiety, very, very severe, and you know, it's hard to even get him in here because he doesn't want to enter the doorway, because that means leaving his herd behind. And that's actually very natural for a horse. But that doorway, which is in behind me here that you're looking at there, that's actually a very significant point to this video too, because now, as I said, I've been experimenting with a lot of different things similar to the word Ural. I've been doing lots of things to keep him distracted and focused on me, so he wasn't worried about the herd and everything else, but he still keeps focusing on that door. Like even right now, you see he's turning his head and looking at that door. He likes that door. And that has been an issue for quite some time. Now, I'm going to show you something that it's one of the more common methods for dealing with this problem. And I talked about this in Destination Addiction, as he thinks that door is a better place than being over here with me. He gets some kind of comfort from the thought of that door, because on the other side of that door is where the herd is, his buddies are, all this good stuff. And so he wants to be there. He wants to pay attention to that door. That door is of interest to him. So what my goal is to try and, well, first off, I tried just distracting him, giving him other things to think about. But no matter how much I did that, although he did improve, he still is hooked on that door, as you can see right now. He's looking at that door. So I'm going to show you what we ended up doing that actually seemed to help a lot. Is, oh, you want to be near the door? Okay, we're going to let you be near the door until you decide. Remember, it's got to be the horse's idea. He's going to decide, I don't think I like that door so much. But because I only did this once yesterday with him, and he hasn't had a reminder since, he still thinks that door is a good idea. Well, we're going to convince him otherwise. And I'm not going to use force or anything like that because that doesn't work. I simply am going to employ a method that a lot of guys have used for a lot of different things, actually. This can be done, this exact same thing can be done anytime the horse doesn't like or does like a particular spot. Now, for example, well, I'm just going to show you here because I might as well since we're here. Now, if, for example, your horse didn't like that corner of the arena, or maybe he doesn't like that corner of the arena, and he'd much rather be down, down at that end of the arena, or maybe over there, or, oh, who knows, maybe he's got some place he would much rather be, and he does not want to be there, and you want to get the horse to be there. Well, that's real easy, actually, is you don't force him to go there. And again, it's going to be the horse's idea. You want the horse to think that over there is a good idea, or perhaps over there is a good idea. And you do that by making those areas that you want the horse to go to be places that you let the horse rest. He'll get to just chill out and hang out and then just enjoy himself over there. Whereas if he goes down over here, where he wants to be, he's going to get put to work, and he's going to decide pretty soon that he doesn't like this area, and hey, wait a minute, over here I don't get put to work. Maybe that's a better area. Let's try it out. So anyhow, that is exactly the principle that we are going to use and what we are going to do here to convince him that he really doesn't like that door so much. Now, as you can see right now, still, he's looking at that door. So I'm going to show you what we do. Now, might have to zoom the camera a little more for this to focus on that, but because that's where we're going to be. We're going to be over by the door because that's where he wants to go. So we're going to let him go there. And then we're going to convince him that the door isn't necessarily such a great idea. So stick with me here and you're going to get to see what we do. Now, of course, for doing this, we're going to need a lead on him, so we just snap the lead onto him. And you know, he likes this door. He wants to go over to the door, so this is where we're going. And if he'll get out of the way for a minute, you'll notice I also got my flag with me. And we're going to employ the flag. Now, I also have a plastic bag on a stick that you just saw earlier on in this video, and a few other things too. You could probably use any one of them. But we are going to use the flag because it just seems to be the most appropriate tool for the job. Now, he wants to go to that door. He's interested in that door. He thinks that door is a great thing. Okay, your idea. You want to go there. Let's go. And already I am going to start putting pressure on him with the flag. And then when we get really close to the door, I'm really going to up it. And as soon as he moves away from the door, I'll take the pressure off. It's that simple. Close to the door means pressure. Approaching the door means pressure. Getting really close to the door means lots of pressure. Go away from the door, guess what? No pressure. Maybe that door is not such a great thing because every time you go there, you get pressure put on you. Well, this is what we're doing. And, well, he's still looking at the door, so I guess he still wants to go there. So, well, let's see if we can get him to go. Oh, he doesn't even want to go there now. Come on, let's go. There we go. No, he doesn't think that door's such a great idea anymore. He's remembering yesterday because this actually, there we go. And normally, except I'm stopping to talk to you, but normally I would keep him going. I wouldn't let him stop over here. So we're just going to he doesn't like this. He does not like this. He's saying, I don't really want to go over there, but guess what? You're going to go over there, and then the flag is really going to get aggressive. And, oh, see, going away from the door, good. Going towards the door, bad. But he's going to figure this out for himself. He's already getting resistant to the door, does not like it. See this? I'm putting pressure on the lead, and he doesn't want to go there. Let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. He's turned around and he's not looking at the door this time. And this is exactly what you're going to have to do. This is how you solve the problem. Now, that was a little bit quick. We only did it a couple times, but we'd already done this yesterday with him a bit. Not an incredible amount, but it actually didn't take long for him to figure out that door was a bad idea. And so today, he actually just needed a reminder. And you can see him, his head going back and forth. He really wants to turn around and look at it, but he knows that's a bad idea. So he's actually self-correcting at the moment because he's thinking, and that's what you want. You want a horse that thinks. And he's thinking, you know what, I don't think that door is such a bright idea. Because every time I look at it or go over there, bad things happen. So that is basically as simple as it can be. That's it. So, and that's why I put 3 pieces together on this video today, because I knew that it was actually going to be, I kind of figured out it was going to go that quick, and there wouldn't really be a whole lot to show you because of the fact that, well, it works pretty quick. And even yesterday, I don't know, maybe we did that maybe 10, 15 times. I don't know. I didn't keep track. I didn't count. But, today was actually more of just a reminder of what happens if you decide that that door is such a great place and you want to be there. So anyhow, just thought I'd share that one with you because it worked so incredibly well yesterday after I had attempted quite a few different methods that I didn't really want to get that aggressive with him. I'd like to do things as gentle as possible, but he seemed rather, he's looking at the door again. Well, maybe we'll have to remind him that door's not such a great place one more time. Anyhow, in the meantime, have a good day and go play with your horses.